got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back when addressing Jake Paul's rumored fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. He blasted the idea as reckless, emphasizing that weight classes exist for a reason, to protect fighters from dangerous mismatches. Rogan warned that ignoring those limits isn't bravery. It's irresponsible, that he argued that Jake seems more interested in selling pay-per-views than respecting the sport, turning boxing into a spectacle instead of a fair competition. With Jake's massive size and raw power compared to Tank's smaller frame, Rogan fears this fight could go beyond entertainment and cross into something truly unsafe.
Sure, but no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Michael Bisping didn't mince words when reacting to Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Tank Davis despite the massive size gap. He warned that Jake is stepping far outside the boundaries of fair competition, pointing out that Tank is nearly 100 pounds lighter, a difference that completely destroys the balance boxing is built on. Bisping reminded fans that even Jake's fight with 58-year-old Mike Tyson was controversial, but this new matchup takes things to another level. This isn't about testing skill, Bisping suggested. It's about chasing headlines and stacking the odds, that he emphasized that true boxing thrives on respect, equality, and courage, not exploiting smaller opponents for viral moments. In his view, this fight doesn't celebrate competition, it undermines it, turning the ring into a stage for profit instead of honor.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson. I went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, stop being such a bully, leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream of picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
Teddy Atlas had a sharp and humorous take on the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis face-off, and he didn't hold back. Seeing the two stand side by side, Atlas joked that Tank would need a ladder just to reach Jake's chin. That's how dramatic the size difference looked. But beneath the humor, Atlas delivered a serious message. He acknowledged that styles and skill differences are what make boxing exciting, but in this case, the physical gap is simply too extreme. He warned that Tank's smaller frame and shorter reach would make it nearly impossible for him to fight effectively, turning the matchup into something that feels mismatched and unsafe right from the start.
Things right. they should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, okay, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping. And it made me think, and I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him, because I know he's an expert in this area, but it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunder Lips. He was Thunder Lips back there.
Joe Rogan didn't hesitate to call out Jake Paul's promotional tactics, claiming that his fights are becoming more about marketing than real competition. Rogan explained that these kinds of matchups are designed to grab attention from casual fans, not to test skill or honor the sport. According to him, all the betting hype, trash talk, and wild face-offs are part of a carefully crafted show meant to generate clicks and headlines, not meaningful wins. Jake knows exactly what he's doing, Rogan said. He's keeping his name in the spotlight, even if it means bending what boxing truly stands for. Rogan emphasized that while Jake is a talent for building hype, true greatness in boxing isn't measured by views or drama. It's earned through real, balanced competition.
That's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me to court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them.
Hmm?
That was Jake Paul promoting it. It's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
If I bet on it, it bothers
watching
the
it.
fuck
Is
out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with
Yeah.
people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like
Yeah.
they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friend. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you
Parasocial
in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Leonard Ellerbe opened up about why Gervonta Tank Davis never went through with a potential fight against Lamont Roach, revealing that it wasn't about fear or competition. It was about mental health and focus. According to Ellerbe, Tank was dealing with serious personal challenges at the time and simply wasn't in the right mindset to take on another high-pressure fight. He explained that Tank needed space to regain balance and clarity, rather than forcing himself into a situation that could make things worse. Sometimes the toughest fight isn't in the ring, it's in life, Ellerbe said. He made it clear that Tank's decision wasn't about avoiding Roach, but about protecting his peace and rebuilding his motivation.
Leonard Ellerbe said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it. And he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach. And that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that if he tries to make a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, that fight doesn't go through. Then he tries to make a fight with Lamont Roach. He can't get the fight done for Houston with Lamont Roach because there was all kind of venue problems and drama going on around Gervonta getting a venue in Houston. So they wind up eventually moving the fight to New York City and pushing it back even further. So not only is it a fight where he didn't just jump out of from his last fight that he had and jump into a fight with Lamont Roach, he got held up. And then also during that period of time, he had to spend some time in jail for a parole violation after I believe that might have been after the Lamont Roach fight.
Reports are surfacing that Gervonta Tank Davis may be planning to retire after his upcoming fight with Jake Paul, marking what could be the final chapter of his boxing career. Insiders suggest this decision isn't about chasing legacy or adding more titles to his name. It's about securing long-term financial stability. The massive payday attached to the Jake Paul fight appears to be the key motivator, with many analysts describing the move as a strategic business decision rather than a competitive one. Observers also point out that Tank has faced intense personal and professional pressure in recent months, and this fight offers a way to step out of the spotlight on his own terms. Tank knows the value of walking away when the timing's right. One analyst noted, "This isn't about proving himself anymore. It's about protecting his future."
What you make? Like, let's go band for band on what you make. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, "That's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You'd rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz." He says, "The people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates." Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight.
Daniel Cormier didn't hold back his frustration when addressing the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight, calling the entire setup a disaster waiting to happen. Cormier said he couldn't believe how a bout with such an obvious size and weight gap was even allowed to move forward. He pointed to the press conference moment when Tank himself appeared unsure about what weight class the fight would take place in, a detail that Cormier says should have raised major red flags right away. In a sport built on structure and fairness, Cormier said, "You can't just ignore weight divisions because it sells tickets. Those rules exist to protect fighters, not to be twisted for promotion." He stressed that Jake Paul is simply too big and too strong for Tank, warning that the physical imbalance makes the matchup dangerous and irresponsible. Cormier even questioned how athletic commissions could approve something so clearly one-sided. "This isn't competition, it's spectacle," he concluded. "And when boxing starts caring more about clicks than safety, it loses what makes it great."
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fight, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds. I said 190. The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
completely unfair. It is completely just, it's, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. Like, I thought
That's
it was
bad,
190,
D.
it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad.
Gervonta Tank Davis recently opened up about his true motivations, offering a rare and honest reflection on his boxing journey. He admitted that his goal was never to become a boxing legend or chase endless titles. His real mission was to escape hardship and secure a better life. For Tank, boxing wasn't about fame or legacy. It was a means to survive, to rise above his circumstances, and to build lasting stability for himself and his family. I didn't start boxing to be a superstar, he revealed. I started because I needed a way out. This perspective sheds new light on his recent choices, especially the rumored retirement and high-profile fights. Tank's decisions now appear less about competition and more about fulfilling the purpose that first drove him, achieving freedom, security, and peace of mind.
And while he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who has 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we can do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances, to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way, right?
Showbiz the Adult offered a balanced take on Jake Paul's impact on boxing, giving him credit where it's due while also pointing out the flaws in his approach, that he acknowledged that Jake has done something few could, bring mainstream attention and new audiences to the sport. Through bold promotion, viral storytelling, and non-stop engagement, Jake has managed to turn casual viewers into curious fans, expanding boxing's reach far beyond its traditional audience. You can't deny what Jake has done for boxing's visibility, Showbiz said. He's made people talk about the sport again, and that's powerful, but he didn't shy away from the criticism either. Showbiz noted that Jake's opponent choices continue to spark backlash, with many fans frustrated that he often faces fighters who are smaller, retired, or simply not on his competitive level.
Boxing is going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing. Okay, I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out of the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official records because it's an exhibition.
This growing pattern, according to Showbiz the Adult, has created real frustration among boxing purists who value the sport's long-standing tradition of fair and balanced competition. Many feel that these spectacle-driven fights blur the line between genuine boxing and entertainment marketing. Showbiz explained that the debate now centers on a key question. Is Jake Paul elevating boxing's visibility or damaging its credibility? While his influence is undeniable, the integrity of the sport seems to hang in the balance. That he went on to say that if Gervonta Tank Davis were to dominate and decisively defeat Jake Paul, it could serve as a powerful statement, a turning point that restores respect to the sport. Such a victory, Showbiz argued, would make Tank more than just a winner in the ring. It would make him a symbol of boxing's true spirit.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it. Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5", he's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger, well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Two Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive. Think about it.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time, keep your gloves up and your eyes on the fight game.